NBC News has just confirmed that actor Malcolm-Jamal Warner has died at the age of 54. Authorities in Costa Rica telling NBC News that Warner accidentally drowned while swimming in the ocean on Sunday. Warner is best known for, of course, his Emmy-nominated role.
Girl, grab your tea because what I'm about to spill will have your jaw on the floor. So picture this, Playa Grande, Costa Rica. A beach so beautiful it looks fake. Turquoise waves kissing the jungle like it's a movie set. Normally, it's a slice of heaven. But on July 20th? Oh no, honey, that beach wasn't peaceful. It was a stage for something sinister. Malcolm-Jamal Warner, yes, the Malcolm-Jamal, 54 years old, beloved actor, cultural icon, family man, was there on a little getaway, a relaxing vacation, just him in the ocean. He walks into the water, probably needing a moment of zen, some peace, but what he got instead was death. Tragic, right? Authorities claim a current pulled him under. That's their story. People rushed. Bystanders literally sprinted to help. They got him back on the shore. The Red Cross worked on him for over 20 minutes, but it was too late. Warner was gone. Just like that. Vanished into the waves. But wait. It gets murkier.
Incident took place on Sunday in Costa Rica. He was on a family vacation. He was swimming off of the coast of a town called Cocles in the province of Limon. He was swimming at Playa Grande. I mean, I've visited Costa Rica a few times. I was there with my family a few years ago, and those currents can be very strong.
So here's the part that should make you sit up. They call it accidental drowning. No foul play, just bad luck. Move along, nothing to see. But no. That story, it's way too tidy, way too clean. Because Malcolm wasn't just any dude on vacation, he was Theo, a whole generational icon, a legend who embodied brilliance, who broke stereotypes, and brought Black excellence into American living rooms every week. So when they say he just drowned, we're supposed to nod and swallow that without blinking. Baby, please. Something is off. Now here's where it gets straight up creepy. A second man was involved, some 29-year-old from Nicaragua. They say he tried to rescue Malcolm, but guess what? No name, no photo, no interview, no nothing. He just pops up, saves a life, then disappears into the void like a ghost. And this isn't just any beach. Playa Grande isn't exactly known for taking lives. It's patrolled, well-mapped, and on that day, pretty calm. And Warner? He could swim. His friend said so. So what pulled him under? And how is this other man who was supposedly struggling in the same waters perfectly fine now? It doesn't line up. Tell me you're suspicious, because I am.
Oh, so unbelievable there. And Branson, I also was reading that just days ago, he had another podcast episode that was dropped, and now a lot of fans are starting to really listen to that as maybe one of his last times that you hear him.
Okay, now here comes the real kicker. Just days, literally days, before his death, Malcolm dropped a podcast episode. His new show, Not All Hood, had just started. It was fresh, it was real. And this episode, whew, it was fire. He didn't just talk, he went in. He exposed how Hollywood hijacks Black culture, distorts it, chews it up, and sells it back in bite-sized, watered-down cliches. He said the quiet parts out loud. Malcolm wasn't playing. And let me tell you, it didn't sound like a man just venting. It sounded like a man who knew what kind of danger he was in for speaking truth to power, and he spoke it anyway. Now tell me, does that sound like someone who just accidentally drowns a week later? We've seen this pattern before. When Black artists and icons start lifting the veil, naming names and asking questions, suddenly they're gone. It happened to Prince, to Nipsey, to Chadwick, to Michael, and now, Malcolm? This man wasn't erratic or reckless. He was deliberate, smart, strategic, and that makes what he said in that last episode hit even harder. He was warning us, straight up.
Just wanted to remind you, as I remind myself, that no matter what's going on, there's always a reason to smile. Like, if you just take a minute to stop and take stock, I guarantee you can find at least one reason to smile. And if for some reason you can't find a reason to smile, then that's probably the best time to be the reason for somebody else to smile.
Now, have you heard of the so-called blacklist theory? Buckle up, because this isn't some made-up Hollywood script. This is whispered truth. Supposedly, there's this secret list floating around the industry, a list that gets passed from hand to hand among the big shots. And once your name's on it, phew, you're done. No more deals, no more calls, no more screen time, or worse. Accidents start happening. Could Malcolm have been on that list? The timeline is screaming at us. He launches his podcast in early June. By mid-July, he's naming names, talking about legacy, media manipulation, cultural theft, and boom, he's dead. That's not a coincidence. That's a red flag parade. And while everyone is grieving, his family, his friends, his fans, the Costa Rican authorities, they wrapped that investigation up with a little bow. No press conference, no follow-ups, just accidental drowning. Meanwhile, the man who rescued him is still a ghost. Where's the transparency?
Morning swim, he had gone out to the coastline just before sunrise, and a little after sunrise, got into the water. Not too many details about what exactly happened once he was in the water, but authorities did end up finding his body actually hundreds of yards away down the shoreline. His body was discovered in a rocky cove. It was brushed up against that rocky cove.
Let's circle back to this mystery rescuer. He was said to be in critical condition just hours after the incident, but in less than 48 hours, he's discharged. No complications, no interviews, no nothing. Really? According to a doctor, Dre Mauricio Solano Corella, that's fast, too fast, especially for someone pulled under by the same current that allegedly killed Warner. So we ask again, was this man really there to help, or was he there for something else? Because eyewitnesses say the whole thing felt off. He wasn't just randomly nearby, he was already in the water, close by, watching. That doesn't sound random, that sounds premeditated.
Really was a multi-decade career in Hollywood, spanning several different shows. I did a little bit of research before this, and he had about 84 credits on his resume before passing away at just 54 years old. And TMZ also obtained photo, possibly the last photo of him that we may even have ever seen on TMZ.com at the airport on July 13th coming into Costa Rica. It's just so tragic to look at that photo and think that just a week later he'd be passing away.
And don't even get me started on the reports. Girl, they're so vague, it's insulting. Swept away by a current. Bystanders attempted rescue. Taken to shore. Okay, who exactly saw him go under? What time? Who pulled him out? What condition was he in? Nothing is clear. Nothing is confirmed. That kind of fog doesn't happen around regular drownings, especially not high-profile ones. Now remember, Malcolm once said in an interview back in 2013, "I have peace of mind, and for me, you can't put a price on that." He wasn't chasing fame. He was building something meaningful, something real. He had a wife, a daughter. He kept a low profile on purpose. So why? Just as he finds a platform to finally speak openly, is that voice suddenly gone? You don't find that strange? Because I do. Even his podcast co-hosts, dead silent. No tributes, no new episodes, nothing. As if someone yanked the cord. Why?
And I think what so many people can appreciate is he was a true creative. He talked about African-American culture in such a beautiful way. I think Wendell Pierce put it best when I saw something that he posted. He challenged himself in music, art, cinema, spoken word, and writing. He had a huge capacity for joy. He exercised his right of self-determination.
Now let's talk about Eddie Griffin, Malcolm's longtime friend and co-star. He dropped a tribute that made the hairs on my arms stand up. "We went to war with the Hollywood machine." Wait, what? That line alone says it all. This wasn't about old beefs or creative differences. They were in a battle, and not just with each other, with the whole system. Malcolm wasn't just sitting around reminiscing about his sitcom glory days. No ma'am, he was mentoring young actors, pushing them to question the roles they took, the stories they told. He was opening eyes and shaking tables, and that's the exact kind of truth teller this industry loves to erase. They love you when you're charming, safe, and quiet, but the moment you challenge the blueprint, suddenly your opportunities dry up. Or worse, you become inconvenient. And now look, a beloved cultural figure is gone, under strange circumstances, with a silent podcast, a missing rescuer, and an investigation that feels more like a PR exercise than actual truth-finding. This isn't just a loss, it's a warning shot.
Historic and frozen in time is this iconic character. What did that mean for television, and what does it still mean to this day?
Sam, Theo Huxtable was me. Theo Huxtable was my brothers. Theo Huxtable was the first time someone that looked like me saw someone that looked like himself on television. He was the epitome of what we as kids, in a certain community were growing.
Let's pull the camera back even more and look at the pattern. Chadwick Boseman, ill for years, working nonstop, never once let on. Then boom, gone. Kobe Bryant, helicopter crash on a foggy morning. Nothing adds up. Nipsey Hussle, shot in the very neighborhood he was rebuilding. Different faces, different tragedies, same gut punch feeling. These weren't just celebrities, these were change makers, visionaries, leaders in their communities, men who weren't just famous, they were forging new paths, breaking molds, flipping narratives, and every time one of them dies, we're told it's a tragedy, a coincidence, a freak accident. But how many coincidences does it take before you start seeing a pattern? Because if you look closely, there's a thread. And that thread, it's connected to power, ownership, voice, and silence.
What do you want people to remember about him?
Oh boy, he was never afraid to go to his room and study and make sure he followed whatever he had learned in the acting school.
And that's exactly where Malcolm fits in. He wasn't just talking about the old days, he was reframing legacy. He was spotlighting mental health, calling out the fake representation, the hollow storytelling, the way Black culture is constantly boxed up, watered down, and sold back to us like some bargain bin knockoff. He was done being a prop in someone else's narrative, and that makes people nervous. You think studios just let people like that roam free? Number behind the scenes, there are lists. Whispered lists. Not official, of course, but very, very real. Executives rank talent. Who's safe? Who's volatile? Who's a brand risk? And when you're too bold, when you start shaking up the foundation, suddenly meetings get rescheduled. Deals fall through. Or worse, your public image gets rewritten before your obituaries even printed.
What do you want people to remember about him?
Oh boy. He was never afraid to go to his room and study and make sure he followed whatever he had learned in the acting school.
Let's go back to Costa Rica, shall we? Malcolm didn't just roll the dice on vacation spots. He was methodical, intentional. He was careful about what he signed his name to, where he took his family. He wasn't reckless. Costa Rica has a public image. Peaceful, eco-friendly, luxury for Americans who want a jungle adventure with Wi-Fi. But if you dig a little deeper, you'll find something darker. Corruption, buried court cases, and a tourism industry that's perfected the art of hiding bad press. If you wanted a high-profile death to fly under the radar, it's the perfect backdrop. Now tell me, why Playa Grande? Why a calm day in the early afternoon when the beach is full of witnesses? Why a second swimmer who survives walks out of the hospital like nothing happened and never shows his face again? And why did Costa Rican officials tie the case up faster than you can say asphyxiation by submersion? Nothing about this feels real. Nothing about this feels accidental.
Yes, obviously so heartbreaking. Such a tragedy. Here in the office, so many Cosby Show fans of this wonderful actor, and he had a very long career even after the show that he was known for.
Let's talk legacy, because that's what this is really about. Samantha Shepard, a Cornell scholar, called Malcolm's passing a significant cultural loss. And she wasn't lying. He wasn't just Theo from The Cosby Show. He had the ear of Gen X, the loyalty of millennials. He was Grammy nominated. He was active, podcasting, mentoring. He was evolving. And the industry, it doesn't like evolution. It likes neat labels, clean characters, flat narratives. And when someone refuses to flatten themselves, they become a problem. Malcolm wouldn't stop expanding. He wouldn't settle. And that made him a threat. Because when someone with his reach starts telling stories outside the Hollywood pipeline, that's not just inconvenient. That's dangerous. We've seen this script before. And the ending, it's always the same.
In terms of the things that continue to perpetuate the negative stereotype of people of color, we've always had The Cosby Show to hold up against that.
Now let's get something clear. Malcolm didn't play around with his safety. People close to him knew he was intentional, cautious, especially when it came to his family. He didn't just hop on planes and wander into foreign waters without serious planning. We even heard from a former road manager, staying anonymous of course, who said Malcolm was never spontaneous in unfamiliar countries. He always had eyes, always had checks in place. So what changed? Did someone recommend Playa Grande to him? Was the trip arranged through a concierge connected to the industry? Or worse, was there a fixer involved? Someone who knew the layout, the currents, the rescue delays? Because this wasn't some remote cove with zero access. This was a public beach in broad daylight with other people around. So why the blackout on witness accounts? Let's get into the emergency response. 3 ambulances, 2 adult men. Red Cross says both were out of the water when help arrived. Okay, so who pulled them out? Was it the crowd? Was it trained help? Where are the bystanders? Not one post, not one social media moment, not even a blurry Instagram story. That's not just eerie, that's controlled.
What's good? Yes, I got the flower in my hair. Today's my daughter's birthday. She put the flower there, so I'm rocking it. What? It's a beautiful day here in Atlanta. I just wanted to shout out and just spread some love and some good cheer. And you know, life is out here lifing, right? For me and for everybody else.
And since we're talking about control, let's not pretend Hollywood doesn't have a global playbook for PR disasters. Why did the podcast go silent overnight? We hear the condolences, but the silence is even louder.
The salesman said this will last a lifetime. And just think, if I live to be 90, that's about $1 a year.
Now, to be fair, let's state the obvious. Maybe it really was an accident. Maybe the current didn't care who he was. Maybe the rescuer wants privacy. Maybe this was just nature being cruel. That's the official line. That's the safe answer. But when you stack this story next to a string of eerily similar ones, all with black voices at the center, voices who dared to challenge the narrative, suddenly, it's not just sad, it's terrifying. Because the system doesn't need to pull the trigger. It just needs you to go quiet. The result is the same. And when someone like Malcolm disappears, the machine doesn't skip a beat. And worse, the public is told, don't ask, don't question, just mourn.
Malcolm-Jamal Warner, an actor who rose to fame as the beloved Theo Huxtable on 8 seasons of The Cosby Show, died on Sunday. Officials say the 54-year-old was swimming at a Costa Rican beach.
Which brings us back to the message. Not all hood wasn't just a vanity project. It wasn't clickbait. It was Malcolm's way of showing the world the full truth, the range, the beauty, the depth of black identity. Not just what's profitable, not what sells, but what's real. He was breaking the mold. Again, that voice gets silenced. He wasn't chasing shock value. He was building a foundation, something lasting, something big. And now, that journey has been cut off mid-sentence. That podcast is frozen. The final episode reads like a warning, interrupted, and we're not done asking questions. Tell us what you think, tell us what you see, tell us who you don't trust, because coincidence doesn't show up this many times without a plan, and we are not buying it. Stay loud, stay sharp, and don't ever hold your truth. And don't ever hold your truth.